All right, so we are here to talk about the Xbox Game Showcase for 2025, a very good show. So we just got finished watching it, and we have our live reactions available. I'll post it in a pinned comment so y'all can go and check that out if you want to watch the full reaction stream. The show was an incredible opening to that show.
Yep.
Definitely started to fall a little bit flat and just kind of kept getting flatter. And then it really closed off with a very flat ending that left just a you can't end a show with any and it's like ending a show with NBA 2K. It's like, yeah, people love NBA 2K, but it's an annualized thing. Everybody knows it's not like a big shocking surprising thing. So it's like we end with such a sour taste that it's like skewing my perception. So I'm like trying to think in real time about the overall grade of this show. But Loon, great show nonetheless. What are your overall thoughts on the show?
Yeah, no, it was an incredible beginning. We saw two games in particular, which we'll end up obviously highlighting down the road. I saw a lot more in them than I thought I would, and they've got me won over. Whereas before it was just like I knew they existed. It's just like, okay, you know, I don't have any feelings formulated for them up until the showcase, and it's like, okay, they will be day one. I'll be checking them out. But no, to tie it in perfectly into what you said with the closing thing, that felt very. I don't really like going into that territory, but that felt like a corporate decision. That felt like
Microsoft Gaming.
yes, that felt like we need to close it off with the biggest thing we have at our disposal because I don't want to be rude. I know that there's tons of people that do check out Call of Duty, but the people that are checking out these showcases are not the Call of Duty only people. They're not going to sit through an entire fucking showcase just to see that at the end. Like they won't hop into the showcases. These are for people that are going to be diving into tons of different genres or have loads of different anticipated games that they're just chomping at the teeth to get any detail on. They're not there for Call of Duty. So it's very weird. And also just the world's strangest trailer, man. Because the comment that when as we were closing off, it was the perfect encapsulation of it. I want the first half of that trailer as a game. I don't want that Call of Duty as a game. That's just wasted, in my opinion.
Yeah, I tend to agree. That first half of the game with you're seeing it was a 90 it was will you bite
Mm.
the hand that feeds you, and it's like building up to this and you're thinking, "Oh, are we going horror new IP?" Like I'm my brain's going crazy. I'm like, "Are we going Absurd Ventures, Dan Hauser's new thing? Are we going fucking,
I thought
you
it was
know,
Kojima because it
yeah,
just
OD,
yeah. Because
right?"
I was like, oh, he took a picture of him earlier, and you start like trying to draw strings from this, and you're like, oh, finally we get to see like whatever the hell he's been working on. The fact that that was absent is baffling. Like, what? Come on, Kojima, man, give us something. Still have no
Yeah.
idea what on earth anything is going on with that. But yeah,
You can never close with an NBA 2K or a Call of Duty or like it just doesn't we know it's not surprising. We all know they happen every year. Like there's nothing to be surprised about. But I mean, regardless, it's like all right, so let's kind of talk about grading this thing because I was so hot so early in this show,
mm-hmm.
and I do think within the first 20 minutes of this show, it was better than the entirety of Summer Game Fest, the Summer Game Fest live showcase.
Yep.
So, and I gave Summer Game Fest like a 5, 6-ish range somewhere in there.
The bar's not
So
very high.
so I'm saying that immediately puts this at like a 6.57 as like bare minimum. It's above that. But I'm all right, so I'm going to tell you my thoughts and you talk me through this, Lone. Right now my grade on this thing, I'm sitting somewhere in between a 7 and an 8. I guess that lands at 7.5, but I'm sitting somewhere in that realm because I don't think that like it's crazy because this was Xbox last year had hands down the best show of E3 2024, Summer Game Fest 2024 by a mile.
Mm-hmm.
This is a weird year where I do think overall, if you look at like the whole package of the show, it was probably the strongest overall show. But if you are looking for big, bold, new announcements, like huge reveals, this was probably the weakest show actually, which is kind of fucking crazy to think about because in Summer Game Fest you got RE9, in State of Play you got Bond, and Marvel Tokon. So here the biggest thing, I mean, obviously the biggest thing's Call of Duty, but in terms of
Of the
things you're not expecting,
yeah.
would that, because it can't be Clockwork Revolution because we already knew about it. What would it be? I'm like looking through my notes here. Blood of Dawnwalker we already knew about.
For me, it would be because this is where it blurs and muddies the line because this is why I hate leaks because it makes that Persona 4 trailer even more weak because we knew it is in existence and everything, and then they just throw it out there for such. If I had no idea, it would have been, oh, that's nice to see that. That didn't save it for me. It probably would have been that Mudang game for me, the Korean
Hmm.
game, because it's Chronos. We already knew existed. Like you said, Clockwork, you knew it existed.
Right.
That's the first thing I've seen of that, and that looked really good. It had my ears perked up. I was yeah invested the whole time from start to finish, and it's like yeah, that looks amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of a low bar for, the big new reveal. Like you would think you would want something a little bit, but regardless, like in terms of pacing of a show, in terms of quality announcement after quality announcement, stuff you actually want to play, yeah, I would still say this was probably the best show overall for E3. I, I got to give credit to PlayStation. It's a toss up between that and a fucking dinky little State of Play. Like, whenever I hear State of Play, I just think, okay, well, let's go pull some shit out the dumpster and let's see what's going to be thrown onto our screen. Like, it's typically never good. You have had like a handful of okay State of Plays, but this was a great State of Play this year. But I would still say that it's close between those two. Um, I think I'm gonna lock in an 8. I think because I think I gave State of Play an 8, so I think I'm gonna say it's kind of just right there, equal to that. I don't know if like I don't know which, because there's nothing at this show that's even close to Bond. You know what I mean? Like in terms of big new. Once again, not talking about me personally, because there is something in here that's for me personally on that level. But in terms of like wider reception, in terms of like widespread appeal, new reveals, there's nothing in here close to Bond or Marvel Tokon. Um, but I think I personally liked the game shown here more than the State of Play. So it's always hard to weigh that in, like objectivity versus subjectivity or whatever. But what score would you give it?
8.5
8.5.
because it's the type of thing of like yeah, for new reveals it was kind of weak, but I have the benefit of being somebody in the ecosystem. All of these are just they're no investment to me whatsoever. They're just going to be dropped into Game Pass. I'll get them when I get them, and it's just like, man, that was a good game. That's a cool game. That's a cool game, and it's just win win. Um, I would have liked to see maybe one or two like completely brand new things that are like huge heavy hitters, like a RE9 and stuff like that. Grab yourself something that has that much pulling power. But yeah, I don't think it was a disaster. It's just the fact that
No.
they've had killer showcase, killer showcase, killer showcase. At some point, it does need to be a bit more on the tamer side, and we're looking at it through the lens of a tamer side. Like there's still big fucking announcements here as well. We just know a lot of them and stuff. Like for me personally, with the Final Fantasy stuff, it's like, oh, that's nice to finally get that. Whereas obviously with you, that doesn't do anything for you because you've already played it on PlayStation. But for Xbox fans, it's like, fuck yeah, man, let's go.
So how about we go ahead and jump through the games that were revealed? Loon, I'm going to let you carry this away since you'll be rolling the trailers in real time, and we'll kind of just go through the notable reveals. But yeah, so at 8 and 8.5, like I think that's, yeah, because last year's show for me would have been in the nines.
Mm-hmm.
This definitely is much less than that. But it's I shouldn't say much less. It's a point below that, you know.
Hmm.
But still a yeah, still a really really strong show. Really strong show. But let's go ahead and get into the big reveals, the notable things worth mentioning, my friend.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they kind of botched the way they handled uploading the trailers. I did try to get them chronologically, but that didn't work. So we'll be leading off with. I think this is the first time we've seen it. High on Life 2, right? This
Yeah.
was a true world premiere. Um, I want to ask this before we peel it back. Did you expect this to get a sequel? Because they did Trover
Yeah.
Saves the Universe, and then they moved on to a new IP with this. I Part of me is like, well, yeah, duh, it did like incredible numbers. But I'm still partially a little bit surprised that it got a sequel as well.
Yeah, I mean this thing was massive, and then I just to let everyone know, I'm gonna rewatch the trailers as we go through this, just so I want a little bit more clarity on a lot of these games. Um, and I'm looking at this, man. This is as I'm rewatching it, this is much more expansive than I like some of this shit faded from my brain already, just in the amount of time that we've been since we've seen it. Like there is a ton of there. You have bow and arrow combat in
Mm,
here. You have skateboarding going on in here. You have a lot, and I think that this is a lot. There's a part of me where I'm like, is that gameplay? It looks almost too crisp,
yeah,
almost like it's sort of a rendered cinematic to look like gameplay, but
yeah,
I
like
don't
a
know.
Call of Duty set piece where it's in game and it's technically playing, but it's on rails and you're not doing anything as the player. But it did, I don't know. It looked like you were inputting stuff as a player there.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like it looks like you're controlling some of your
yeah.
actions. I,
So yeah, and it's obviously day one Game Pass as well, so they're still sticking within that ecosystem. So that's awesome to see. Because the first one also launched day one, right?
yep.
So they've got really good ties there, and yeah, it absolutely slayed numbers wise. It wasn't just like a success on Xbox; it was a success everywhere. I think it recently came to Switch, right?
I'm not
Bundled
100%
bundled
sure.
with the DLC. I think it finally came to Switch, so it's literally everywhere now. So yeah.
And this is a big one because it's coming this year,
Mm.
so it'll be on your consoles in December of 2025 for High on Life 2. I like the first one a lot. I think this one looks much bigger, much more, just more of that. And I liked the humor a good deal on High on Life. I really wasn't expecting to, but that humor landed with me a lot more than I was anticipating. But yeah, I I, I dug that trailer.
Yep, and then obviously, like I said, it's not chronological. I don't know when these rolled out, but up next would be the Plague Tale game, which this is a prequel, is what I'm gathering, right? Is what they're
I
setting this up as.
It could be, dude. I really don't know. Plague Tale, Innocence, and Requiem are two of my favorite games of recent memory.
Hmm.
Plague Tale Requiem, I think, is maybe the best story of the generation so far. It's like genuinely fucking up there. This trailer. So, first off, let me say this. This is one of those things where separating subjectivity versus objectivity, where I said that a second ago, this is kind of the exact game I was talking about. Because this, for me, is more hype than like this is on par with RE9 and Bond. But it's for me, it's like
Yep.
that's such a specific. This is not going to be on that level for 99.9% of the audience. So I try to consider that when I try not to just lead with just my own when I'm trying to score this thing. I'm trying to think about like general consensus of this isn't going to move the needle for most people. But if you played Innocence and Requiem, you know that Asobo are masters of real heavy narrative. Like, there's nobody out there doing anything close to like The Last of Us. This is really one of the only teams that's kind of somewhat in that space. Of course, not the same level of production value and all of that, but in terms of just real heavy adult themes, like, something to really sink your teeth into. Um, It's this shit is so good. So I'm really excited for this. And yeah, it definitely looks like I'm rewatching the trailer now. Um, it looks to be a prequel
Mm,
with the setting and everything here. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm curious. I want to see gameplay though.
yeah. I think it's. I think they didn't lead with it because there was a good jump up between the first game and the second game's gameplay. Like they had a lot more involving moving parts. I think they can mildly improve on that. I don't think they have it in them to do much more than that kind of gameplay. I think that's kind of if they start getting out of that realm, it then makes the project harder to get done and stuff like that in the time frame that they want to keep putting these out because they're that's the thing as well. You're talking about Naughty Dog and stuff, and it's the closest thing they have. Look how long it takes Naughty Dog to put out a game now.
Hmm.
Whereas this is what their third game in
Since 2019.
exactly. That's not even a decade. Like you're talking, what 6 years? That's really good output from them.
Interesting tidbit. As I'm rewatching this trailer, I got to the closing screen. It says coming 2026 to Xbox, no PlayStation.
Oh, did it
And
not?
throughout the rest of this showcase, they had PlayStation in
Yeah,
almost
no.
every
If it's
single.
coming to PlayStation, it was listed because they had Switch there. You had everything.
Very, very, very interesting. I wonder if they just because they paid the fuck out of them for Requiem to be day one on Game Pass. I wonder if they just quad fucking drupled that. It was like, hey, we want it exclusive and on Game Pass. It's
Mm,
like, shit, yeah, maybe this thing actually could, because that's why I'm like, oh, because from Innocence to Requiem was a humongous leap forward in terms of gameplay. There was so much more going on in Requiem than Innocence. If we get a humongous leap from Requiem to fucking Resonance, if they got real funding to do some crazy shit, this could actually elevate into a few tiers above you know, anything I was expecting for this. So that actually the fact that it's exclusive kind of makes me more excited for it because I would assume they got more funding for it.
yeah, obviously it won't be permanent exclusivity.
No.
There'll be timed exclusivity. So, and they're usually fairly open with that as well. They don't do deals for longer than a year, I don't think. And even then, a lot of the time, it's even under a year now, right? With indie, that
Yeah.
was less than a year. So, yeah, that kind of bums me out a little bit because, like I said, I don't across the board. I just don't like exclusivity. So, the feeling of you have a bunch of PlayStation players that are going to be sitting over there and being like, "Man, I love Plague Tale," and they're starving for the Naughty Dog experience, kind of thing. That kind of sucks.
But it can make your game so much better. Like you can secure that funding for that.
Yeah,
It's a big reason consoles even exist. You know
yeah,
what I
no,
mean? So it's
no,
like
absolutely.
i-
I just always
if it,
have the gamer hat on.
yeah. But as gamers, if they get, it's going to come everywhere eventually. But if they're able to fucking, really make the game of their dreams because they're getting the funding that they could only get through a console manufacturer, making it exclusive, like that's the win-win.
Yep. And so that's we're moving on.
Yeah.
The Outer Worlds 2 next. Even though you're called, you immediately use like Clockwork. Oh shit, no, Outer Worlds 2. Because it does they
Yeah.
do kind of they blend over a little bit with their art style in certain aspects, but yeah, it's hard to be like because we're both excited for the game, but it's like we already know like it was a lengthy trailer that they showed us. It was like 2.5 minutes. Like it was a good chunk of the show, but it was like I kind of know what to expect to. So yeah,
Yeah. It's I You said it earlier though. They do have a monopoly on the first person role playing experience. They really
Mm,
are. It's crazy. Outer Worlds, Avowed. Fuck, even if you want to throw Indiana Jones in there,
hmm
and then Starfield and then Clockwork and like it's like, oh shit, Outer Worlds too. It's a lot of first person role playing games, but you made the great analogy earlier where it's like PlayStation has the third person, over the shoulder that style of cinematic experience, and this is really Xbox's forte. If you had to nail one thing down, I think at this point it would kind of be this first person role playing experience. But interesting note, this is $80.
mm,
Um, so that I'm assuming that's going to be the first kickoff game of the $80 run.
yeah.
So we'll see how that
Thank
does.
Christ for Game Pass. Thank you.
Yeah, the $80, the $70 thing hasn't been working for a lot of games on like Steam,
Nope.
that I've noticed, where you're seeing a lot of people, jump into a Schedule One, into an Expedition, into a Blueprints or whatever the case may be. These $50 games, Oblivion, I believe was 50 as well or 60,
hmm
and so these jacked up prices aren't seeming to have the payoff that publishers are looking for. And I don't think the Outer Worlds necessarily has the cachet
No.
for an $80 price tag. I love the Outer Worlds one. Is my favorite game in 2019. I cannot wait to fucking play this thing.
hmm
One of my most anticipated games, if not my most anticipated game for the rest of the year. But eesh.
No, but they, like I said, because I also alluded to this, they just position themselves so differently in the industry. They can choose that price tag because they have Game Pass to fall back on as an excuse and be like, well, if you don't want to fork up that money, just get yourself into the ecosystem. Whereas no other people kind of have that as a avenue. They can play both sides, and it's so weird to see that. So that's it isn't probably going to hurt them as much as it would others if they were trying this. Does that make sense?
Well, they don't. I mean, Game Pass isn't growing,
No,
so
no,
it's
no,
like they're
no.
still
But that,
trying to sell
no,
games.
exactly. But if you start then applying pressure with that money and being like, oh, 80, 80, 80, that makes it look all the more appealing when it hasn't changed with Game Pass. They can just keep that there as a dangling lure because people could just eventually over time be like, oh, I want to pay 80 for this. I want to pay 80 for that. That looks much more appealing 15 every month. Because the more you jack up the price and you just keep that lower, that's more appealing.
I mean, Game Pass is already at 20, damn near. So it's
Mm.
like, and the prices keep going up on that as well. So
But as
yeah,
long
I
as it
don't
stays within like you know, as long as it stays under half the price.
know that I mean, I think at this point it's proven out that it's not gonna have a mass adoption rate. Like I don't think it'll ever, because they wanted to have like 100 million people in there. They're never gonna get close to that. I think they stagnated around 30.
Mhm.
So it's like they still are very much in the business of selling games. That is their, I mean, they have been making money hand over fist selling games on PlayStation and PC with this recent run. So eighty
No, that's what I'm
dollars
saying. It's not gonna affect them because you saw Forza launch for an absurd price, and the thing is that its higher edition was topping the charts more than the standard edition. People are happily paying above the market thing on PlayStation. So
I think that was for early access.
they're gonna launch Outer Worlds, but then you could do the upgrade thing, right? And say extra 4 days of early access for. You can always dangle that in. We don't know if they're doing that with the Outer Worlds too. But you can
No,
always
base
tag that
game
in.
is 80.
No, that's what I mean. And you can also add that on top, and that pushes sales even more because people don't have that, you know, self control to wait. We want to get it now.
I'm curious how this is going to sell. I
Mm-hmm.
hope that it does well. I love the Outer Worlds one. I even for me, like I would love to buy this, have a physical copy of it, but I think I'm probably just playing it on Game Pass. Like I don't know. $80, man, for the Outer Worlds. And that's once again, it was my favorite game in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and even I'm like, I don't know, man. But shout out to it. It's coming out on October
The end, I believe.
29th.
Yeah, 29th. They jam packed a bunch of stuff into October. Strangely enough, they didn't spread
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah.
But Blood of the Dawnwalker is up next.
Mm.
Um, they highlighted that they have a strong partnership with Bandai, which they kind of do. I don't think it's rock solid, but yeah, they're working with them, and they showed us a little bit more of it. I still, because you said it as well, and it's obviously hard to talk during the live streams. You don't want to talk over stuff. There was a lot of quick cuts, which I agree with. Which I wanted to also tag on to that. That's covering up some of them. Animations did look a little bit rough. I don't know if you caught on to some of them. They're definitely not top tier. So
Hmm.
cutting quick, it kind of covers that up. So I don't know if that's early development stuff, and then it will be smoothed out as time goes on. I hope so, of course. But some of that combat was like, ooh, okay, that was a little bit. That's not 100% what I would want. But the game's tone, setting, visuals, they all look great, and I can't wait for it. Anything vampire stuff is just all for me.
Totally. Yeah, I think I cannot wait to see more of it. And thankfully, we don't have long to wait. A gameplay reveal is happening on June 21st for Blood of
Mm-hmm.
the Dawnwalker. So we don't have long to wait on this to see actual gameplay. I
And I
do
will
tend
be
to agree.
checking that out. We like I
Yeah.
think we say that we avoid stuff. It's I want to see how polished this looks as a whole complete thing. I hope it's not like tech demo stuff. Smoking like you need to show actual stuff.
Yeah. I mean, tonally, I think it looks tremendous.
Mm.
I do agree though, where you said there was a little bit of jank in some of the animations. And it is ex CDPR talent who are known for jank, but they're also known for incredible world building, incredible fucking narrative rich experiences. So we'll see June 21st for more gameplay on Blood of the Dawnwalker, and it's releasing in full in 2026, being built in UE5 as is The Witcher 4. So interesting.
Yeah, if I had to take a guess, I'd probably say it launches next year in September. That's just a complete stab in the dark. Oh shit.
Yeah, definitely sometime late next year, I would assume
Yeah,
as
I don't
well.
think it's gonna hit the early window. Um,
No.
I think it'll wait a little bit. But
Yeah.
this will probably be a quick one to go over. But Super Meat Boy 3D. Um, they're taking their stab. Obviously, Astro did pretty damn well. One game of the year, in fact. Um, and Super Meat Boy has been around for quite a while now. I think they're just going to try and capitalize on that. When we were talking about it on the stream and stuff like that, I said it's thingy on steroids. I didn't mean like in terms of quality. I meant, Super Meat Boy is synonymous with brutal difficulty. Remember it being one of like the hardest 100% on Xbox Live Arcade and stuff like that, the original Super Meat Boy. So I assume that they're not going to lighten it up. That's kind of the whole point of the series, is it's just brutal. Um, so yeah, I assume it's going to find its like little niche, because you have these type of games where when they're really difficult and people are fighting over leaderboards, you find your own little pocket in the gaming space.
Yeah, it looks really damn good, man. This game looks really damn good. And it's releasing early 2026. I
Mm-hmm.
think this could end up being like, I'm not saying game of the year level or whatever, but I do think this could end up being like a pretty big hit for 2026, like one of those games that sell deceptively well.
Mm.
And yeah, I think that this looks fun as hell, really, really charming. So shout out to the meat.
Shout out to the Meat Man. Um, we've seen this, I think, in the beginning of the year, right? Ninja Gaiden 4.
Yep.
Um, this was a little bit more than what we saw. This was a new trailer, right? This wasn't a rehash. This was
Right,
like a
right.
rejig. So there was a little bit more shown here, but I I don't think they really need to show anything else on the game, to be honest. Like it's obviously it's not clearly ready to go, otherwise it'd be releasing. But it's yeah, it's ready to go. Like we're ready to play it whenever you want to put it out. It looks really good. It just looks really fun. And that's the main thing with Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's coming in October. So not long to wait on that one at all. They are filling up that October window. This one is dropping on the 21st. And yeah, I played through Black 2
Mm.
in early 2025 when the Xbox Developer Direct, I believe, they kind of shadow dropped that there. And
Yep.
I played through that, loved that. So I cannot wait to jump into this, the collaboration between Platinum and Team Ninja. So expertise in the field of action video games, and this looks like a hell of a lot of fun. And yeah, another day one Game Pass drop. So I'll be there October 21st.
Yeah, I'll be definitely checking out because it looks so much more crisper as well than because I know they polished up Black 2, right? It's what released earlier this year.
Yep,
This just looks like on a totally different level.
it does. Yeah,
Um,
I mean,
and I'm
there's
so much
shots of
more
this
interested
that's
in that.
absolutely. Yeah, there's shots of this trailer that's just like unbelievably in terms of the rendering, in terms of the fucking the amount of blood you're just seeing on the
Mm,
screen here is like what the fuck, man. And a real dark and Ninja Gaiden, Black 2 was dark as well, but there's a real dark sort of tone in this trailer, like some city shots and just yeah, there's some good shit, some good monster design variety in this trailer. It's a really good looking trailer.
yep. And then they showed us this isn't the first time that they've officially showed it, right? This has been shown the handheld, right? Or was it all just
Not
leaks?
officially.
Okay,
All leaks, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
The world's worst kept secret, the ROG Xbox Ally was shown.
Yeah, some good shit here though, like being able to download your games natively, like
Yeah,
some good information on this that people were worried about.
yeah. Putting that straight to bed because that's obviously with them fixating so much every single time for instance, me booting up True Achievements every week. Here's a slew of 6 more games that you're able to stream through the
Yeah, right.
cloud and stuff like that. And it's like every time they do that, you kind of like take a deep breath and you're like, man, I hope this isn't like what you're going to be leading with. Like, have it as a feature, sure, like that it can sometime down the line that will be probably something that gets explored. But right now, that is not what you should be focusing on, like primarily. And it's good that that isn't. It's just an option. And being able to download the stuff natively, I hope they carry that over because they said that there's still a handheld in development. They're just pushing it back, right? It's basically been put on ice.
Yeah, that's the wording right now.
So what I'm assuming is they're realizing how fucking expensive it is to make these things. And they're like, look, if this ROG doesn't do anything, like if we see absurdly low sales, you would rather just probably cut it then, right? In
Yep.
development, because there would be no point in chasing that market if you
I
were them.
have Yeah, I have a somewhat hot take on it. I don't necessarily know if there is a point of chasing that market in general. I don't know. I'm really curious about the handheld space. I have to kind of see it to believe it. I'm in that mindset where I look at the Switch 2 came out in one day and I believe sold more than the Steam Deck in its lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's like, so there is obviously a yearning for the handheld experience, but it's also dockable easily and there's exclusive games on it. So that's the main selling point, the first party software. And it's like, I, I'm wondering like, is it, I just wonder, is the PlayStation branding, is the Xbox branding when PlayStation does their handheld, when Xbox releases this, is that enough to get more people in the door alone, or is it
No,
just going to sell into that very niche market that's already buying the ROG Ally as is?
no, because you only have. This is the thing, as what I was talking about with them just abandoning most of their exclusivity. You once somebody's set in stone in their ecosystem, and that is the handheld ecosystem. They're in the Switch ecosystem. You saw how disastrous some of them announcements were, and it still sold, like you said, more than the Steam Deck instantly. Um, it had no damaging effect to it whatsoever, and nobody cared. So you trying to muscle into that, ecosystem. What are you flaunting? Because they don't. It's not graphical powerhouses that they care about and stuff like that. Because they're happy playing the Nintendo games in the way that they've been playing them. So I do agree. It is probably a waste when you're looking at it from trying to break into the mainstream and carving out something that isn't a niche. If you're just targeting a niche, then yeah, sure. Like it'll do well.
Totally.
Like I'll probably get one when they go on sale and stuff, and just you have the novelty of okay, I can play Balatro in bed and earn achievements on it. But it's not going to be something like that's not going to become my primary system, and that's not going to
No.
become people's primary systems if they're in the ecosystem anyway, because it makes no sense.
Well, yeah, and it's because it's really interesting. Like the Steam Deck user base is incredibly like they are probably the most vocal of any like minority of any like fandom in the world.
Hmm.
As such a small percentage of a market to be so vocal in support of a product, which that means that audience is so engaged with their product, spending so much money on their product. Is it just valuable to sell something to 5 million people and just have those 5 million people buy a whole fucking ton of games? Like, because they are in the business of selling software and selling subscriptions. So it's like, sure, adding, 5 million people who are buying tons of games and subscribe to your subscription service. It's like, I don't know, maybe that is actually a fairly because especially doing it with a third party partner. Fuck yeah. Go ahead, ROG. If you want to throw an Xbox logo on your machine, then and it and you people buy a ton of Xbox games on there, but then it's like, are they just going to go buy them on Steam? And so it's a whole thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to also just finally touch on that handheld, dude, Silk Song got showed again and again and again and again
Right.
through that whole trailer, and then they ended up coming out and being like, "Yeah, it's coming out this winter, and you'll be playing Silk Song on it day one." It's like I'll believe it when I see it. You didn't even give
Right.
us a locked-in date, so yeah,
So I guess does that mean Silk Song Winter 2025 confirmed?
exactly, because it's not just going to launch exclusively on that handheld, is it? It's going to go
Right.
everywhere. Xbox Play everywhere, anywhere. Sorry. Um, so yeah. But that's what I mean in the quotation marks. You didn't give us a date, so I'll believe it
Yeah.
when I see it.
I'm in that same boat.
Alrighty. So next up, Beast of Reincarnation. This is the Game Freak game out of fucking nowhere. Just okay.
So
Roll that
wild.
trailer.
Take that
Um,
Pokemon money and go and
yeah,
blow it on a real big budget fucking yeah, that game looks pretty wild.
yeah, and it's the thing as well is when you're sitting there in the showcases and your mind's running wild. Like they were playing very near esque music. I was like, oh, maybe. And then Game Freak popped up. And I was like, oh no, it's clearly not near. But it oozes that kind of charm that it has, just going ever so slightly differently. But yeah, it's something that caught my attention. I'll be checking this out. This looks great.
Yeah. Coming 2026, the old beast, the reincarnated beast of Game Freak. Listen, man, I mean, this is kind of ideal, right? You take a bunch of money that you made making one of the biggest IP in the history of gaming, and you do something that's much uh I don't I know I was gonna say bigger, but that's definitely not the right word.
No,
Much more
it's
ambitious.
I don't even know if I'd say that either. Um, it's the Larian approach, isn't it? It's you could easily bank that Pokemon paycheck for the rest of your lives, but it's not your IP. So
Yeah.
eventually you'll get run down creatively and you're just running through the motions. It's so clearly like they don't mind drawing all these different animals and stuff like that, but it's like they want to make a game. They want to make
Yeah.
something different and they want to flaunt their creativity, and you got to respect that. Like you said, take that massive paycheck, carve out your own IP. Get that full paycheck yourself instead of cutting it
Absolutely.
to Nintendo.
Yeah.
Ooh. Up next, Clockwork Revolution.
Are we in
What a
agreement on this game of the show?
um yeah, when you're looking at the show as a whole. Um Absolutely. For new, like when I'm looking for something new and stuff like that, there is something that stole it for me over that. But when you put everything up against each other with no barriers, yeah, this was this was amazing because it wasn't
This
even
was
just
unreal.
the fact that it looked really good. They stayed on this game for almost, I think it was over 5 minutes. Like
Five
they
fucking
showed
minutes.
shitloads on this game, and from cutscenes, gameplay, tone, the world, everything, and just yeah, it I think I mentioned, I said it. It's kind of how I felt Fable should have gone with this kind of comedic take.
Mhm.
I think that's what could I I don't know because Fable does their own type of humor, but I don't know if they stick to the original Fable humor. I don't think it's going to land well uh, in the next coming years. It's just something that's kind of like yeah, it's a little bit cringy in some aspects and stuff like that. It's this is so much more with the time, and also on top of that, dude, the fucking the character creator, the
Yes. The
extensiveness
customization,
of the
man.
stuff of not only your character but your weapon. That's something that I love is when you have gear pieces and you're able to tinker the look of the barrel and you have a bunch of different barrels and stocks, sights, magazines, stuff like that. It felt so much more than I would have expected from an RPG perspective. It because I was worried when we first saw it. I thought, it's going to be kind of like Dishonored-esque, where it's going to be very much focused on the world and much less on the character. This seems to be striking a really really strong balance. I don't know if you felt that way.
Yeah. And I mean, I loved as well. Like, I think that they broke down any question you would have for the
Yeah.
game, I think was addressed in this trailer, which is so I listen, I don't want to I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, although I'm gonna pat myself on the back too much here. I called this a long time ago, man. I was like, In Exile is getting a actual budget from a fucking trillion-dollar company to go and make their dream game. I think they're gonna knock this out of the park. Um, who knows if I said I think it's going to end up being the game of the generation. Who knows if that ends up coming to fruition? There are a lot of great games this generation. Probably going to be hard to top Baldur's Gate 3. Um,
Mm,
but I do when you look at this and you look at the ambition, like that is that has to be a dream game for them to make. You know, this kind of BioShocky, BGS,
mm,
Obsidian story. It's in that vein of
yep.
the Xbox wheelhouse right now. But you see the dialogue decisions, you see the fucking first person shooting, and it goes in depth in every single aspect. Any question you would have, they check the box. The shooting, are you
Yeah.
fucking kidding? This actually looks like a first person shooter, not a VAT system, not even Starfield had good first person shooting. Outer Worlds 2 seems to have good first person shooting. You're seeing head splat. You motherfuckers are getting domed in this shit. The crosshair move, like all of the first person shooting looks first person shooter quality,
Mm.
not RPG quality.
No, absolutely. And then, like you said, answering every question. What would you hope for in an RPG? Choice and consequence. And then they show towards the end of the trailer the changing of the newspaper. And you're like, okay,
Yes.
that's kind of like basic. And then they switch to the world, and it's just like, oh no, the entire building shift in style and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, you know,
Yes.
and I'm 90% for that, and a 10% a little bit like I'll believe it when I see it because they kind of did lead with that with like Dying Light 2, and they didn't execute that as well as they could have with
Good
turning around and
point.
going, yeah, the world changes with your stuff. So there's always a level of skepticism, but this is, I don't know, it looks so much more interesting. And
Yeah.
if I have anybody to have faith in executing something of choice, it's people who have mastered CRPGs
Right.
as well, rather than
Yeah.
just, nothing against Techland, but their story writing has never been S to.
No, God, no. And I mean, it's the thing too, where like you have this level of faith in a team of that caliber, and their strength has always been the choice. You know what I mean? So it's like you take that and then you give them the money to make competent first person shooting and like all of these other mechanics it's not a lack of talent with that team at all. It's a lack of funding. And now they have infinite funding. So and then yeah, just that idea of your choices being able to actually affect the architecture,
Mm.
the evolution of the architecture, the evolution of the world environments you're surrounded by. Like that's the shit. That's probably I'm glad you touched on that because that's probably the one thing in this trailer that is the thing. Like that's probably the bit that is going to be what defines the game if they execute on it properly. Because stuff like that you don't see that often.
No, you usually see like faction changes where the buildings stay the same, but the people inhabiting the buildings are different. But actually changing the architecture is so much more impressive, which we haven't seen executed nearly as much as we should do in gaming as a whole.
Absolutely. And I know Judas was trying to do some stuff like that, or Ken Levine was trying to do some stuff like that in Judas, but I don't think they have the scale on par with Clockwork. So shout out, man. This looks so good.
Yep.
God,
And
2020. That's the one thing I will say though. I really was after the all of that gameplay. I
yeah,
was like, oh, that release date early 2026. Let's get it. And then it just said coming in due time, and it's like, ah, fuck,
yeah.
a little bit of wind out of the sails, but still, incredible trailer.
No, but you would think giving it 5+ minutes of showtime, that's not something you would give to something that's in development hell or very like
No.
it's round the corner. It's probably a 2026 game. They just don't want to lock it in. Um,
Totally.
but another surprise. It's kind of funny that these have lined up so well. Chronos, because I had very
Mm.
little. I was very skeptical about Clockwork Revolution because I have a rocky love for In Exile with their titles. Same things with Bloober. Dude, Chronos looks really damn good from Bloober. I think that they've finally taken that hurdle of where they would approach gameplay and be a little bit hesitant, and they've just that's no longer an obstacle for them. They did Silent Hill 2, and then people were like, yeah, man, that was good, that was fun, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll do that again. We'll continue building off of that, and that is what Chronos looked like. It looked like Dead Space.
Yeah. Silent Hill 2, the remake, is one of the greatest survival horror games that's ever been created. And for them to take, I mean, almost a nearly perfect video game and the foundation that they were able to lay with that video game and to build on it into okay, well we conquered the Silent Hills and now we're going to tackle the Dead Space, and they are, I mean, you're seeing fucking stomping on skulls. It is straight up fucking you might not be named Isaac, but you're out there doing some Isaac ass shit.
Mm.
um it is very, very Dead Space coded to its core, and I am so on board for that because I don't think EA is ever going to give us Dead Space again. Unfortunately, back-to-back issues here, no release date. Still saying late 2025 or holiday 2025. So I'm assuming we're probably seeing this in December, late November,
Yeah, I
which
was
is
gonna
okay.
say.
Take your time.
I think there's no way you. I hope, I really hope they don't hit October because it's like you've put enough in there. You know, give this. This is my thing with Xbox. They need to make sure that they give these titles breathing room. Put it in November or December and give it a chance. Because if you stack that into October and it gets buried, that's going to be so unfortunate.
Well, that's the thing with Chronos is like you're getting the Game Pass bag, but it's your choice when you release that fucking game. You know what I mean? So like be somewhat wise. Avoid your don't go head to head with the Outer Worlds 2, you goof.
Yep. And I hope they take your word of advice. Um, for their own sake and for my sake, because fucking Christ, man, there's not enough time in the week.
No
Let me have
shit.
some. Let me have some time, man. And this was a surprise. Don't Nod made
Right.
an appearance. I I think you're probably more excited for this than I am. I'm intrigued, but I'm not excited. And this is was it Aphelion? I think is what it was called.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's
it looked kind of bare bones. If I'll be brutally honest. There didn't seem to be all that much going on. But this is the thing of like the walking sim esque genre and that kind of like walking adventure game thing that they do kind of lean heavily off of that which is why I was waiting for like, okay, well, what's the story then? And it's just extremely vague story beats as to what they were alluding to of just explore a planet. So I don't know. It didn't get my pulse pounding as much as it probably got yours.
No, I mean it's not a pulse pounding style of game. But it is the thing where I played Jasant and I thought Jasant was interesting but tedious. And
Mm-hmm.
then for them to, I mean, possibly I hope that there's some level of depth. And it wasn't even the tedium. Like I wouldn't even mind necessarily if they straight up ripped Jasant's mechanics for climbing and put it into this title, but added a story as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something to hook you to keep you climbing, you know? And I love Uncharted. You know what I mean? So anytime I see fucking Tomb Raider Uncharted style gameplay, running around, jumping and climbing for, and obviously there's no action or anything, like you're not killing motherfuckers from what we see in the trailer. But just running around it because I don't like walking sims typically, but I'm down for, here's a story where you do a little bit of platforming and just give me something. If you got a good story to tell and you just got something for gameplay, a surfing, snowboarding, like we saw that Sword of the Sea trailer, the
Yep.
the from the journey and that artist, and it's just like cool, surfing, snowboarding, skateboard, well, fuck it, mixtape, oh, we're TPing houses, we're skateboarding, cool, fuck it.
I and it's a 2026 release date. It didn't get like a locked in release date. But the thing, because why I'm a little bit kind of more so on it as well, is walking sims that have monsters that chase you that you just have to run away from. And that's kind of what they allude to at the end of the trailer, where the door opens and there's hissing, and it's just like, okay, so that's going to be one of them.
Oh
I'm
boy.
so over them, man. I'm so. It was the type of thing where so many people were. You have a kind of experience with that in Cyberpunk at one point, and I thought it was one of the worst parts of the game. Like I'm so sick of games where they remove all choice and ability, and you just cower in a corner. It's just not. Yeah, I find it some of the most unengaging stuff. So that's kind of why I'm a little bit sour on the trailer, because it was showing me hardly anything, and then it was just like, yeah, and then there'll be a monster probably, and it's just like, I'm so over this. So
Totally. Yeah, that's reasonable. It wasn't a highlight of the show, but I like Don't Nod.
mm-hmm.
I always have a curiosity for what they make because they make such a wide range of experiences. You can go into
Yep.
your fucking oh wow, I totally just blanked on the name of that game from last year. Goodness gracious, what was the name of that game? Um, damn,
I
I
don't
feel horrible
engage with
now.
them, so I can't save you here. I know that they
No, you
made.
played it. You
I
played it.
did.
Yeah, you liked it as well. It was really fucking good. Third person God of War style game. Um, Red and Antea. Like I know the names of the characters, but I
Oh,
can't think of the name of
Banishers,
the
Banishers.
Banishers. Yeah,
Oh,
Ghost.
yeah. See, that's oh my god. See, that's where I don't. That's don't nod as well, and I don't even associate them with them
Yeah,
because they make such different experiences. I forget that they're even part of that. Like Umbrella, because
Vampire
it's
and yeah.
Vampires is like one of my favorite games. Banishers was amazing, and that's why it's like, man, can you guys like take 10% of what they did and put it in your game, like
Right.
please,
I think that Banishers game
man.
bombed, man, and it's so good. It's such a bummer.
Yeah, I don't think it sold well at all.
No.
I don't think it like Vampire did all right for them. It was a pretty okay showing. I don't think Banishers did well. I think it did a lot of damage to them, and they're kind of sitting there like, oh shit, a little bit
We're
shell
not
shocked.
making those yeah, we're not making those expensive ass things anymore.
Which is unfortunate. Righty, man, this was a weird one. House Flipper meets Jazz. The hell is this thing? That was a weird ass trailer, but I don't know, man. I'm intrigued because it was the in the beginning it shows obviously the hotel thing, and it's going with all this like singing and stuff, and you're like, okay, yeah, you're nodding your head to it. It's like, okay, that's kind of interesting, and then it starts adding supernatural stuff and more elements, and then interacting with the environments with puzzles and stuff like that, and it's just like, okay, there's a lot more meat to this game than I thought. I don't know how you felt about it.
Yeah, it's like you said, there's a first person walking sim, puzzle solving, house flipping, like there's a lot of vibes going on here. And of course, the music was so standout. But I so this isn't something I would ever just choose to play. Like I wouldn't go buy this,
No.
but I'll play this on Game Pass, certainly. I mean, there's a novelty, a weirdness about this because you're seeing like at the end of the trailer, you're riding around in different vehicles
Mm.
and roaming around on this cart on the beach. It's like, what? And then you get to a Cthulhu style monster at the end of the trailer,
Yeah.
and you're hitting shit with a bat, and like it's like you're shooting monsters with books from this weird gun thing. And it's like, wait a fucking second. Are a house flipping, remodeling Cthulhu
Because it
kart
has it
racing.
has the Prey mimic as well from 2016, where it pans down the hallway and it's kind of like a vase, and then it turns into this monster thing, and it's just like there was a lot more to this game than you would have expected. And like you said, I think I'm with you there. It wouldn't be something that I go out and buy day one and be like, oh, I need to check that out. But it's the perfect like smaller budget game that would benefit from a Game Pass release.
Yeah, and
So
that's dropping 2026, no specifics. But
only
it's
on
called
Xbox as well,
yeah, only on
which
Xbox.
was
Another one.
kind of strange. But
Good, man. I mean, hopefully the team got paid handsomely. No ghosts at the Grand Hotel, or just no ghosts at the Grand. No ghosts at the Grand. That's kind of got a little fucking flavor to it.
mm,
I could hear a song. Like, I don't know. There's something in there. No ghosts at the Grand. That's a dope name. Cool. Um, Shit, yeah. I'm gonna check that out. Once again, it wouldn't be a buy for me, but Game Pass, fuck yeah, I'll jump into that. That's when people talk about Game Pass fodder, that's Game Pass
yeah,
fodder 101 to me. And it could, but here's the thing, Dungeons of Hinterberg was Game Pass fodder, something I would never buy, and it ended up being my second favorite game in 2024. So like fodder doesn't necessarily fodder to me means something that you wouldn't buy, and then at times you get into it and you play it for 2 minutes and you're like, yeah, this is just kind of fodder. But then sometimes you get into it and you're like, oh no, this isn't fucking fodder. I just thought it was fodder.
mm, no, exactly. Um, right. I probably butcher this name. Mudang, Two Hearts. When you were talking about game of the showcase, um, Clockwork is my game of the showcase as like in its entirety when you're looking at it. But like new first time hearing about something, dude, this looked incredible.
It did, dude.
And it's just like, okay, I see you. Like everything about this just oozed something that I just want to check out. It was very like Resident Evil s. There's a good amount of intrigue. The shooting didn't look half bad either. The combat and
Not at
stuff.
all.
The
Metal Gear
designs
in
of
there.
everything, like it just looks interesting.
Yeah, this is something, man. Once again, I'm rewatching all these trailers as we go, and this is another one where I'm rewatching. I'm like, oh, there's some Metal Gear in here. There's Resident
Mm,
Evil, obviously, like you said. Environments look incredibly detailed. I'm assuming this is UE5. This screams UE5.
yeah.
Um, Yeah, I mean, you're seeing destructibility, some physics interaction that seems to be not totally canned. Like there was one point where he missed a shot, and there was a little bit of like ricochet damage that happened to a nearby a nearby wall where you saw like some of the paneling get knocked loose from the wall. And so I don't think that's canned. I don't know. That could be something that's they totally just planned for this trailer, but damn, yeah, this looks really good. Coming 2026. Once again, no PlayStation in
Yeah,
the
that was shocking. That was probably my biggest shock of the showcase, is that this screams like something that PlayStation would want. So for them to have grabbed it, and I believe it's Korea as well, the developer, which he did come out and say, didn't he? Remember, Phil? He's trying to make
motherfucker.
deals in Korea.
Oh, all right, guys. So I take back everything I said for the past like fucking 30 minutes here.
Oh,
So, God, I hate this, man. Like, you gotta pick a lane. Oh, well, I don't know. At the same time, I kind of get it. It is business. So, all right, all of this stuff in the showcase was revealed to be on PlayStation, but on their YouTube channel, it doesn't have the PlayStation logo.
oh, they fucking played that lane.
Yeah.
Oh, come
So
on,
in the
Phil,
showcase, you'll see
man.
the
No, because that's like
yeah.
a why? Because they were hammering that home so hard for so long, including the PlayStation logo and everything. Why? Why? Because they showed PlayStation in some stuff as well. So this is Mudang PlayStation, or is all of this stuff in this showcase PlayStation as well?
Well, so what I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find that trailer in the showcase because I don't
Jesus
want to get you.
Christ.
Yeah, I don't want to get y'all a bunch of fucking wrong information. Um, all right. So I'm skimming through this trailer real quick, and at the end of Mudang, shout out to Mondane. Um, all right, at the end of the trailer in the Xbox official showcase, it has PS5. But whenever you go to the actual Xbox YouTube account, there's no PS5 logo. So I'm assuming with Plague Tale as well. Damn, I wish I could retroactively go back. But for hopefully the people who are still
No,
tuned
man.
in, I
No, no,
apologize.
no, no, because that's good though. Because that needs to be called out. You can't say that you're for everything everywhere and then start cherry picking shit like that. That's so disingenuous, man, from them. Even if it is on their own platform, I really don't
Yeah.
care because yeah, no, that's I don't like that. I
I
really
will
don't
say
like that.
though, yeah, that's a little bit on me. Like I am on their official thing. It is a business. They're trying to get people to buy it on their thing. That's where they make their money. So like that's on me. I should have did a little bit more due diligence. Yeah, bad move on my part.
Mm,
Um,
I'll still call them out for him. I think that's scummy.
yeah, I mean, it's yeah. If you're gonna go down the publisher route,
Yeah.
you would think that you would really show where you're publishing your games. Yeah, if you're going to be a publisher, you got to
Mm.
be a publisher. You can't necessarily have your cake and eat it too. But hey, it is what it is. That's a, you got to take, I got to take some level of accountability. I should have looked that stuff up more in depth before I got on here and started running my damn mouth.
But back to
Anywho,
it
it looks good.
with the Mudan game. Regardless of wherever the hell it's coming everywhere. By the sounds of it, game is
Yeah.
incredible. Um, really, really impressive to see as well with like how I touched upon it as well with was it Indonesia, I believe, and oh, what was the other one?
Oh, and
Albania,
how do,
was it Albania? It was some Eastern European country, I believe.
yeah,
Um, and seeing more inclusion of countries that you wouldn't expect to take a crack at a game, and just seeing Korea taking their crack at it and breaking into all markets worldwide instead of just being in their own little pocket and stuff like that is amazing to see. Really, really cool.
absolutely.
But up next is a game that you said you played last year, if I'm remembering correctly, with Planet of Lana,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
have announced that that will be getting a sequel. So I'll be letting you
yeah.
take the ride on this because I never actually checked it out.
The one thing that stood out to me is there's this little shot later in the trailer where it almost indicates that there's combat in the game,
Mm,
where like you're initiating the combat to some degree. But for the majority of the trailer, it is kind of what you would expect from Planet of Lana from the first game. The first game's incredible. There's a great story. There's a lot of not to spoil, I mean, the trailer pretty much spoils everything out the gate, but there's a lot of sci-fi themes in here that you would not expect, and the game gets more and more sci-fi centric as you progress through that first game. And it's one of those titles where, you play a lot of these style of games, and there's the subtle storytelling going on that really doesn't have much like concrete weight or much like you're not really invested in the story. You're invested in the atmosphere. You like the soundscape, the environment design. You like some of the environmental storytelling, but there's like a pretty legitimate story in Planet of Lana towards the back end of that game. So to see it get a follow up is cool. The end of the trailer is kind of sad. I'm hoping that I don't think that your companion, you're gonna go and rescue. You're gonna go and rescue your homie by the end of the game. I'm sure of it. But it's coming 2026. I'll definitely be jumping into that. I really enjoyed that first game.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Um, I don't really have much to say on this one. It looked alright. I can't. I think it's from the people who made Spiritfarer, if I'm remembering correctly. Is
Yeah.
what they marketed this, and that's At Fate's End. Kind of similar to the game that Planet of Lana that was shown a little bit before. Kind of similar esque, side-scrolling adventures. The thing that caught my eye is that for one, it had like conversation dialogue things, not just
Yeah.
taking place when you're out and about, but like in the middle of combat. It had that, and then the combat itself was kind of, I don't know if you caught it or if you like looked away at the wrong time, but they showed that you're building up a meter, and then you have a card that you pull, and then you're dragging that across the screen to attack,
Hmm.
which was kind of really unique to see. So I don't know what's going on there. Um, but yeah, for me personally, of the two, I would probably check this out before Planet of Lana 2.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
they're pretty different style of games in terms of one's more of a, 2D
hmm,
action sort of it doesn't even necessarily, I don't know, is it a Metroidvania? Is it, because it's not really
we
a 2D platformer of
no, we
sorts.
have no idea. Um, I think it's. I don't know if it because that's the thing. The Metroidvania is implying that you're going back on yourself with abilities to unlock new areas. I
Hmm.
think this just might just be a 2D adventure
Action game.
game, action adventure game where you're just constantly moving forward, battling and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, but yeah, I
As
like the look of it. It looked really cool.
Yeah, as I'm rewatching it, there's like incredible animation work being
Yeah.
done here. There's some really, really strong, just like it has a real specific art style, and of course, it's taking inspiration from your Castlevanias and things of that sort. But it has like a almost a cartoonish sort of shading to it that I like this art style quite a bit. And that's coming 2026 as well.
Yep. Oh boy. The next up on the list. Right. The worst kept secret obviously leaked, and I don't know if this was purposefully done. It kind of felt like it in the end. All of the voice actors coming forward one by one saying they're not reprising their role for Persona 4 remake, even though the game hadn't even been announced yet. But they're telling around, yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So worst kept secret. And then they just, yeah, it makes an appearance at the showcase, and they give it like a 40-second showing where it's like, yeah, there are upgraded visuals, and you walk around the town for half a second, and then that was it. And they moved off of that so quick. They didn't shine any light on it, which is really strange to me because it's they fought so hard to get this series on to Xbox and stuff like that, and they've been putting what was it? Reload was in Game Pass day one, right? And stuff
Yeah.
like that, and they put a lot of emphasis on having that day one, and yeah, there was a complete nothing burger of a trailer other than finally confirming it exists, which is nice to know 100%. But I don't know, it's kind of anticlimactic for me because
Yeah. I wonder if there's just not enough to show yet.
no, no, I don't. I think they've just screwed that trailer up. To be honest, I think that there should be plenty to show. It's the type of thing of like show us because they had so much to show with Reload of overhauling what they did with that from Portable and stuff. So like, ah man, I was just hoping for a little bit more. Even because you can't even muster up a minute for it. Like that was a really big letdown for me. That took it down a little bit for the scoring peg. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you're obviously not the resident Persona guy, so you're just sitting there like, I don't understand why you're so upset.
No, I mean, yeah, it's there was none. There's it's kind of the thing. There's nothing to talk about. You know what I mean?
No,
There's no. It
exactly.
was
And it's
a
just
nothing
like,
burger of a trailer.
wow. Because what they should have, at the bare minimum, tell us who's reprising them roles then. If they've gone on social media, not reprising, who's taking over them roles? If
Hmm.
you're gonna sit there and do that whole marketing spiel, so that was bizarre. Um,
Totally.
the Invincible game up next.
Yeah. This so it starts off with like a pretty story heavy bend to it. You're
Hmm.
seeing a lot of story taking place as I'm rewatching it right now. Um, that is the compelling part to me. If it's going to have like a legitimate narrative, like a Mortal Kombat, like a, Tekken style thing, then I'll probably check this out because the cutscenes and shit look pretty damn cool in here. And then it like fades into battle and it's got a cool sort of blending transition shot there. This looks, the gore is off the charts. Every time a character is getting hit, blood is
Yeah.
splattering. Um, I like what I'm seeing here, but I think the big thing for me is when I'm just looking at the chance that this game has to really pop. It's like, fuck, man, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you're getting an Arc System Works game, Arc System Works Marvel game
Mm,
coming really soon. Injustice is probably coming back, so a DC game that's going to be competing, and then Marvel or Capcom, and they got their fucking fighting collections that are dropping, and people are hanging on to those games in the FGC for long term. And so, you just had um, that Bleach Rebirth of Souls
mm.
fighting game that came out. And so it's like I just yeah, I don't know. I don't really know where this is going to land.
No, because these do tend to be, as much as obviously you have a big following of fighting games, they still fall under that niche market. And it's why what you usually end up seeing is characters being contracted out as DLC characters because it's so hard to make a splash in that zone for yourself. And I mean, it could possibly do something well, but like you said, look how many are coming out soon, and they have a lot more established fandom. Like you're talking about Marvel and stuff like that, and I know in the Invincible uh, series is pretty highly regarded, but I don't know if it has
Yeah.
enough to heavily break through and be one that sticks around. And if this isn't just going to be another thing like Jump Force was, where it comes out and then just fades into non-existence really quick, which hopefully it
Yeah.
isn't, because we obviously want as many things to succeed as possible, but there's only so much uh, fans to go around. And if they're busy playing a Marvel Arc System Works game, like you said, they're not going to be looking to jump over if it plays worse.
Yeah. And I mean, it does look good. Like it's coming from a studio called Quarter Up that I've never heard of. It's whatever, Skybound, about the Skybound,
Yeah, Skybound.
yeah, they're owned by Skybound. So, hey man, maybe new team with some talent on there because it does look good. So I'll keep my eye on it. I'm definitely down to check it out if it has a good story.
Mm-hmm. Then the longest wait it felt in all of gaming for an Xbox gamer, we finally got it, guys. Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah.
And what's crazy to me here, I know 16 is the new one, and that's kind of obviously, we'll get to that in a minute. But the fact that this didn't get a release date, they just turn around and go, yeah, winter. Come on, man, give us a date. You make us wait that long, and then you just turn around and go, yeah, winter. That felt a little bit kind of deflated. Um, but yeah, Final Fantasy 16 at least, it's available now. Um, do you know how much it launched for on PlayStation?
70.
70. So it's 50 for me,
Oh
which would
wow.
be $60, I believe, equivalent. So they are mildly reducing it because what they're asking for the 70 is with all of the expansions. So they have slashed it a mild amount. So they
Nice.
did they did give us something. But yeah, Final Fantasy 16 available now, which is cool. I'll probably end up grabbing that when we wrap this up.
It's
Um,
so good, man. It's really, really good. Um, yeah, I think y'all are gonna enjoy the shit out of that, and hopefully a ton of people go in buy that shit because it does see. I assume with Final Fantasy VII they're waiting for it'll come at the same time whenever it releases on Switch. with remake, I assume that they'll launch on Switch and Xbox at the same time. But yeah, I'm seeing right here 49.99, dude. That is
Mm.
fucking excellent. Which that you did, yeah, that's probably the smart move.
Yeah.
Because if it's lower priced on other, it's on sale on PlayStation, and I guess yeah, Final Fantasy 16 will probably never be able to run on Switch 2. I don't think. There's some crazy shit that happens in there. I don't know. Maybe they could do
I mean,
some
they could
some
make it
weird.
run on it. It would just make it look awful. That's the thing. It is
Yeah.
something that technology has got to the point where everything can technically run on it. You would just have to make it look really bad, which would
Right.
obviously damage the product and stuff like that. But come on, man, if Cyberpunk can run in air quotes on Switch too, then I think Final Fantasy 16 could probably hack it at some point. It is a weird thing though, having to wait till winter because I don't think it would have been all that damaging to release both of them side by side. Just been and just stagger the releases, put them on Xbox now and Switch later and stuff like that. It's yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I what I would assume is they're just still like all hands on deck, all effort is going into that Switch version right now.
Mm.
And it's like we got to make sure that this thing is polished. And then, I assume they could probably flip it easily into the old Xbox after they port it to Switch or at the same time as they're porting it to Switch. But yeah, dude, I'm pumped for people to play 16. 16 is a phenomenal, phenomenal video game.
And yeah, we were obviously waiting for them to make an appearance. Double Fine finally poke their heads up in what feels like forever. And
Yeah.
are you happy with what you saw here from them poking
Dude,
their
I don't
heads above the water?
I'm watching the trailer again, and it's like I don't even know what the fuck I'm looking at, Loon. You're playing as a light tower that's walking around and like doing a
Hmm.
little bit of platforming, releasing October 17th. It's just
If we were
I
gonna
don't know,
throw,
man.
if we were gonna throw around the phrasing in terms of fodder, this is Game Pass fodder. This
Yeah.
is this is just filler for that. I it's hard because obviously there's something that will appeal to everybody, but I struggle to see who is sitting there and being like, man, I'm really looking forward to this. It's just the type of thing of like, oh yeah, it'll be on Game Pass. Maybe have a look at it. I don't know. There wasn't much there for me at all.
Yeah, me either, man. I just rewatched the whole trailer and I'm like looking for something positive to say. Art style, vibe. Like, of course, it's fucking Double Fine. Like, it's trippy. I like trippy. It's weird. I like weird. These things, but I'm looking at this trailer and I'm trying to find like where am I where is the fun going to be in doing this? And maybe there's something that they haven't revealed just yet where you're really gonna, you're maybe there's some Metal Gear Solid 2-esque twist where the the lighthouse becomes fucking
It's
you
actually a
become
turn-based JRPG.
right. Yeah, they pull a Brutal Legends. But it's releasing October 17th, so we don't really have long to wait. I'm gonna play it, and it's kind of like you said. I probably wouldn't buy this blind unless I saw something else where I was like, "Oh, okay." But like for what I see here, it's like I don't really want to play as a fucking lighthouse jumping around and but I'm interested. I'm curious.
Yep. And we land at the final reveal of the showcase.
Yeah,
And
man.
we already touched upon it mildly, but yeah, it was obviously Call of Duty that decided to close it out. And I don't know, man. Like I said, it really felt like the corporate side of Microsoft made that decision to do this because this because they're looking at it like, oh well, that's the thing that makes us the most revenue, blah blah blah, on Xbox. Make sure that's the thing that closes it. It's like, man, you're not tuning into a showcase for this. You really aren't. At least I'm not. I know you're not. I know many people aren't. So it's just very disappointing that this is what, for me at least, this is what they decided to lead off with because that first half of the trailer was really intriguing. And then when it transit and you kind of, oh, it's a Call of Duty game, it kind of took the wind out of the sails because it's just, you know what to expect. There's no allure for me. It's just going to be another yearly installment.
Yeah, and it's like I said, you don't close a show with NBA 2K27. You don't close a show with a new Call of Duty. You don't close a show with a new Madden. You just don't. Like it's we of course there's a new Call of Duty. Of course there's a new Madden. Of course there's a new 2K. You know what I mean? That's that's opener. Open the show with it. Always every show for from here to forever. Open the show because it is a great tempo setter where it's like fuck yeah, here's the new biggest game of the year. Here's the new setting. Here's the new weapon. Here's the new move variety. Whatever it is, whatever the new
Yeah.
mechanic, whatever the new thing is, show it off at the opener of every show. Fuck yeah, no doubt. But you can't close a show with an expected property. Like everybody knows it's happening. So to
Mm.
close the show with it, it's like just don't even have it there, you know?
Yeah. Because well, the creativity on display, it is just not going to be utilized either. All that inception moment in so many other games that'll be extremely impactful. For me, knowing it's a Call of Duty game, it's just going to be so much less. And maybe that's a little bit jaded of an outlook, but I just don't have faith in their ability to tell stories whatsoever.
And see, that's not even it for me. Like I think that you could legitimately this could be the greatest first person shooter of all fucking time. You still can't close the show with it. Like it's just a known quantity. It if NBA 2K came out next year and you had the dopest dribbling mechanics, the jump shot was totally retooled, the dunk animations were better, you had a fully fleshed out story, you still can't close the show with NBA 2K. We all know it's NBA 2K. It's going to come out every single year like
Yep.
clockwork. Not the revolution. Um all right, so here we are. That's the final game of the show.
Yep.
And after all of that, I think I'm still somewhere around that 8. I think I yeah, I'm still at an 8.
Yeah, I'm at
Um
8.5 still. I've not budged.
I Fable, Perfect Dark, anything Fallout related, Elder Scrolls 6 obviously, Halo, State of Decay 3, Everwild, Contraband, question mark, question mark. What the fuck's
What's
going on with some of these?
what's next, showcase wise?
The direct in January.
So you can assume I'm gonna put it down as at the bare minimum one of them makes an appearance at the Game Awards as an announcement.
I can see that.
Maybe two if we're really lucky, but one of them has to muscle its way in. To then be like, yeah, it's launching early next year of something. One of them titles has to be,
Yeah.
because you're running out of time, man. you know, the time is constantly moving forward. We need to know when these things are coming out. So yeah, I think maybe the Game Awards, but then like you said, the next thing up from them would be the Direct, which is a
It's so
long time
interesting.
away.
Fable, man. I'm really hoping that that thing's early 2026. That's what I was thinking. It's like, yeah, it got delayed out of 2025. It'll be pushed into early 2026. It'll be polished up. But now I'm starting to think, are you summer 2026? And if so, immediately fucking change your mind and make it winter. Like right now. Even if it doesn't matter how if that thing is pristine polished in May or June, push it, push it, push it. Like just keep tinkering with shit. Add some DLC randomly. Fucking make it to
Bring
where you
Peter
have
Molyneux back and have him plant a seed of a tree and watch it grow.
just kill time. Literally just kill time. Um Yeah, man. Yeah. That's a lot of notable no-shows.
Yep.
I'm so curious about Everwild and Contraband. State of Decay 3? Like, fuck, man. What is going on with you?
Yeah, but it's like you said as well. There's so much shit already been shown. Do they make the show even longer and longer? But they have these timelines they need to be hitting, so they have too much and just not enough time to show it. But that's maybe to their benefit if it's struggling as well. Then on the other side of that coin, if they're
Yeah, I don't,
struggling,
yeah.
they can just use that as an excuse. Oh, we have so much we've shown already, guys. Be patient.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, because I think it's more that. I think that, like, there's probably some, I don't know about with Fable and State of Decay 3 in specific, Everwild, of course. Contraband, I would assume. mm, yeah, I think there's probably some fucking hurdles that are being that are popping up for a lot of these games. I don't think that a lot of these no showed for no reason.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
But to
I
put
think we
it
might be waiting a little bit.
but to put it into perspective, we squeezed 40 minutes out of that SGF show.
Hmm.
This ran over an hour and a half. Like these shows have meat, even with them being missing. So that should also be, a tip of the hat. Like there's still strong shows with them absent. So that's crazy.
Gears of War E-Day also wasn't in there. Yeah, I'm just talking about from a first party perspective. Like this was actually I'm kind of surprised. So you had Grounded, you had Clockwork Revolution, Ninja Gaiden 4, Outer Worlds 2, Call of Duty, um, Keeper. Yeah, this, eh, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely they've been so hot as of late that there's really no reason to panic or anything, I wouldn't say. But notable, very, very notable. The no shows. That's not just it's definitely not a thing where it's like, oh, we had too much. You would get these in there if there was something that you really wanted to show on them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think that those might be slipping even further than we're expecting. I hope not. I hope Fable's early 2026. For the fucking fate of Fable, I hope it's early 2026. But yeah. We appreciate y'all tuning in, man. That is the Xbox Game Showcase review for 2025. Damn good show. Yeah, hit us in the comments with your favorite announcement, your game of the show. Let us know, and also let us know your score in the comments below. I love these scoring of arbitrary fucking showcases. So let us know in the comments what won SGF weekend 2025 for you. Was it the Keeley event? It's kind of crazy. Let's actually, well, before we hop out here, I know I'm killing fucking crazy time. Let's go and see what the vote is on.
Oh
So,
yeah, good point. Because that's got to
all right,
fall between A and B. If people were giving such strong, reception for that SGF event, that Xbox one
right.
surely has to be a little bit hotter.
So it is right now sitting at 32% A, 35% B, 19% C, 14% D. So
It's not
that's,
bad.
yeah, no, not at all. That's in between A and B, far outweighing
Yep.
C and D. Um, yeah, but then it's so crazy. It's wild how not to once again, I'm fucking dragging this on and I apologize, but I do just find this shit so interesting. So whenever he did his Summer Game Fest thing, okay, no, that topped out at a B as well. So they both topped out at a B, which that's fucking crazy. Keely. Keely, did you have any sway in the no, I mean to be fair, he's put up some polls.
Keely bots, let's go. No, no, I
He's put
think
up
it's the thing as well, isn't it? Though of what you're tuning in for and what you're going to be expecting from the show. If you're going in with the expectations of SGF being lower bar, then you won't feel as bad of being like, yeah, that wasn't a bad SGF kind of thing, feeling that way. And then with the Xbox thing, like we said, that's definitely not their strongest showcase, but it wasn't weak. So you end up falling in that B tier. But when you start cross referencing and being like, is that a B and that's a B? That's when it's like, I don't know.
hmm,
Because I ended up
yeah.
falling in that way as well, didn't I? I said B for SGF myself. But that's because of the mindset of going in and being like, it was fine. It wasn't terrible. I liked what
Yeah.
was shown there.
Um yeah, it's and to Keely's credit, I will because obviously I was joking about the fucking him having sway of the votes there. I do remember that I think it was last year, or the year before, he had a really horrible SGF and he did the poll and it was like everybody voted fucking D or below. Um and so it's like I, I think what happened with SGF was you had the biggest announcement or the second biggest announcement of the entire weekend that closed off the show. And people were just so happy in that moment that as soon as they saw the poll, their pulse was still pounding with that fucking T virus flowing through their veins. And they were like, fuck yes, that's a B. But yeah, it was the Xbox show. I would definitely say in terms of overall output, probably the strongest of the weekend. So, but it's close. State of Play and Xbox, they both had really really good shows. So shout out to both of them. Put on a damn good show. And yeah, we will tune back in here next year and see if they can five-peat. But until then, guys, I think I think that's pretty much it for SGF. I mean, I'll still we'll there's still some shit that'll kind of float out, pop up that we'll probably cover a little bit here and there. But yeah,
Nothing
stick
more
around,
live
subscribe.
though. Just to put
Yeah,
that
no more
into
live reaction.
expectation. Um, no more living for a bit. I don't know what the
Yep.
next live thing is. What would it? What comes after these?
Gamescom in August, but that's kind of SGF tier where
Uh,
it's probably not worth watching that. Um, it's even lower than SGF tier typically. Maybe the Game Awards, honestly, December. Unless, of course, they do a state of play or something like
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yep.
we'll try to fit those in. But that's the thing with those state of plays. It's such a fucking bummer. They announce it one day before, and it's like if you haven't
Guess I'll be
already,
dropping
if you're not
everything.
right,
Thanks,
it's like
Sony.
what the fuck, man. But they don't make those shows for people who are that most of the people don't even watch those state of plays. They just catch a trailer later on. So I get it. But let us know comments below your score for the show. And yeah, man, we appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. Check out Loon's channel in the description below, and we shall see you very, very soon. Goodbye.
See you later.